Those are some fine looking cookies. And the aroma, oh, it's unbelievable. Okay, looks like I have everything. I'm getting ready to make some ginger snaps. These are going to be for Christmas. Folks, this is my holiday with me special, doing this every day through Christmas and a little bit after. Getting everything ready for ginger snaps. This is not a hard thing to do. I just finished doing a bunch of snickerdoodles. Take a look at that video if you haven't. It's really cool. Very simple recipe. And frankly, so are ginger snaps. But there's a couple of little tricks to making much better cookies. One trick, the dough needs to be refrigerated after it's been made. You need to cool it down a little bit. Then make your cookies. When you're working with a cold dough, it responds and works and acts a little bit different. Sometimes when your dough is fresh, it can be way too soft and it won't work well with you, okay? So sometimes a little cold works. And in this recipe, it's that way. The other thing I wanted to mention is the use of baking soda, okay? This recipe uses baking soda just like my snickerdoodles. But the snickerdoodles, we put in cream of tartar. This recipe has no cream of tartar. We use the cream of tartar to generate that carbon dioxide by mixing it with the baking soda. The baking soda has something to react to. This recipe has enough acid already in it. I mean, with the ginger, the cloves, the use of molasses, all of that adds acid to the dish. And that is where we get that carbon dioxide and get a good fluff on the cookie that way. All right, so that's what we do. I have already started by putting my flour in here. And I also have ginger, baking soda, salt, cloves, an egg, some sugar, and some molasses in addition to some fresh butter here. All right, I want to get busy measuring the final dry ingredients, sift them together, and get started making this. Now, I'm going to get busy measuring things, but while I'm doing that, I can start working on the butter. Now that butter's already been brought up to room temperature. It's nice and soft. I just need to get it to cream. And what I'm looking for is to turn that butter a real light color and to make it double in bulk. We're then going to work in sugar and the molasses and the egg, and we're going to make it all nice and light and fluffy before we get the flour in there. Now the flour is going to have all of our flavoring in it. Now when I'm creaming butter and I'm getting it light and fluffy, I don't go too fast. About that right there and no faster. Otherwise it'll come up on the bowl and it takes, well, you have to scrape it a lot more often. This works just fine, and it takes about 5 minutes of that for us to double it in bulk. We'll go ahead and start a timer. It's always fun to use a timer when you do stuff like this. You can learn so much. So I've already put my flour in this, and so you'll know my ingredients. The butter over there, that was 3/4 of a cup of butter. And I'm about to put in to 2.5 cups of flour. I'm going to put 2 teaspoons of baking powder in there. Oh, there's one. So I have ground ginger here. 2 teaspoons. All right, our measurement changes for these next 2 items. We're going to go from that 2 teaspoon measurement down to a 1/2 teaspoon. Cloves are extremely strong, folks. Oh, they smell so good. That is such a holiday season aroma. Okay, there we go, cloves. 1/4 teaspoon. And the same thing on my salt. 1/4 teaspoon. So we have all of those dry ingredients together. I just like to sift that. When I'm finished sifting it, everything is all ready to go. Okay, let's take a look at our time. 5 minutes, 5 seconds. So at this point, I usually check my bowl. What happens here is even though that beater runs really close to the edge of the bowl. It doesn't actually hit it, except on certain very rare models of some mixers. Okay, some mixers have a paddle that has a silicone edge on it, and it scrapes the bowl. It's really nice, but if it pushes things up above the edge of the paddle, and it's not doing much good at that point. So that's one of the problems that we run into with that one. There we go. So as you see, I have very light white butter. Looks very good. Now what I need to do is get sugar worked into this, and then I'm going to cream it all over again. Okay, very gently. And you'll hear scraping noise, and that's normal. Don't let that bother you at all. It's just the sugar rubbing between that beater and the bottom of the bowl. So what I do is I cream it each time I do an addition. I'll add in the molasses, we'll cream it again. We'll add in that egg, we'll cream it again. And it'll get lighter and fluffier and bigger each time. We start that just about at 7 minutes. So we're going to give it until about 10 minutes. That'll be about 3 more. It'll do wonders. All right, looky here. We're coming up on that 10-minute mark. Okay, so let's take that speed back down. I'm going to put some molasses in here. So here we go again. At the moment, we're up to almost 12 minutes, so let's give it till about 15. Okie dokie, let's take a look at our time. 14:50, that's close enough for me. Let's take a look at this. That is nice. Let me bump the beater just a bit. I'm trying to get it in the back. There we go. It makes it a little easier. Let me knock that off. This has become much lighter, much fluffier. Definitely, it's softer. There's one ingredient that'll really cause the volume to pop, and that is that egg. Eggs are wonderful when it comes to baking. They are what used to be the primary leavening agent when it came to making cakes, until things like baking soda and baking powder were being used. All right, low speed for ingredients to be added. Give that just a moment to mix in, and then I'll speed it up again. There, now look at the difference that's making. So at this point, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to fluff it nice and light and soft. And when it looks like it's puffed up just right, I'm going to start adding in my flour. So what I'm looking for here is, again, just a little bit of time. We're at 16:45. This is coming right along. Okay, let's take a look at this. I want to stop it for just a second. It's 18:30, and we've already had a distinct change on this. This is more like a marshmallow cream at this point. Look how that's standing up. I'm going to scrape the bowl one last time, and then turn it back on for about another minute, maybe minute and a half. It'll finish fluffing it. But look at this. This has become very light, very soft. And if it was buttercream, I would say it's at the perfect stage for easy spreading. So that is nice. Okay, 19 and a half. So in a couple of minutes, we'll see it. Okay, let's looky here. That just hit 21 minutes. So we'll slow this down. Now it's time for us to work in the flour. Now again, dry ingredients, take your time. These machines just love to throw ingredients around the room. Don't give them a reason to, okay? Take your time when you're putting stuff in. Don't dump all the flour at once. And don't try to run it at high speed when there's loose ingredients in the bowl. So that takes that in beautifully. And at this point, look at that. See how that's hanging onto that? Nice. It's light, it's fluffy, This is, like I said, it's kind of reminiscent of a marshmallow cream, and it needs to be firm in order to handle it easy. Okay, and that's the reason we're going to refrigerate this. We've done such a good job making a nice, light, fluffy dough. We don't want to do anything to mess with that. Okay? Right there. And at that point, we're done. All I'm going to do is transfer this to another bowl, and then I'm going to put a lid on that, put it in the refrigerator, and let it come down in temperature for a couple of hours. At that point, that's when I'll be making my cookies. Oh, the amount of time we took, 23 minutes on that part. That's not so hard, was it? Alrighty, it's all filled. Got a lid on it. Under refrigeration. It's a matter of being patient. Alright, I'm going to start my oven to 350 degrees. Get that preheated. The dough has chilled. Alright, it's been in the fridge for a couple of hours now. You don't have to get it just super hard. All you're trying to do is just refrigerate it enough to get it firm, to make it a little easier to work with. That's all. Just a nice little handy trick. I have here a scoop that I'm going to use to give myself just about the right amount. You're looking to make about 1-inch balls, okay? And then I have a bowl of sugar. I'm just going to gently roll it in the sugar. Take my balls and set them on the sheet. Now in a little bit I'm going to take and press those balls flat. They don't have to be perfectly flat, but press them down to about 3/8 of an inch, at least that much, or just slightly more. You'll see what I mean here in just a minute. This dough is a fairly sticky dough, okay? That's one of the reasons that the whole refrigerator thing is very handy. Okay, just toss them in the sugar. Get them right there. Now, my mother would always take a glass and press these with a glass, just like so she could get real even results with it. I always had them stick to my glass, like that last one did. This time I might get lucky. But if you notice, I'm not pushing these down like super flat. I just want a nice little wafer that's about 3/8 of an inch thick. And that's what I'm getting here. So I'm going to do this to all of them. And I'm going to start baking them. Now these bake at 350 degrees. It should be, if I remember, I might be wrong. If I remember, it's about 10 to 12 minutes each time. So we'll see. We'll see how they come out. Okay, we need to get these guys in the oven. I'm going to cook one pan at a time. And that is, and I was wrong on that timing, that is going to be about 12 to 15 minutes, okay? So check them in about 12 minutes, and if they need a little more browning, give that to them. Otherwise, just remember, 12 to 15, 350 degrees. And after they come out of the oven, let them sit on the pan for 1 minute, then take them and put them on a cooling rack. That's all you got to remember. All right, I've just taken these out of the oven. These things are all coming out absolutely perfect. They've got the right amount of browning on the bottom, beautiful look to them. They've got some crackling going on the top, and that's just what you're looking for in a good ginger snap. All right, now you want to wait for about 1 minute for these to cool before you try to remove them from the cookie sheet. And the whole idea there, it just allows it to firm up a little bit. There we are. Those are really, really good looking cookies, aren't they? All right. So I've got the last ones in the oven right now. Now my batch of 40 came out a little bit, I made a little more this time. It came to 53 that it made. So you about in that area. Maybe if they were a little bit larger, they would have been fewer, but I think this came out really nice. These are looking just the way they're supposed to. So folks, enjoy this recipe. You're gonna have a good time with it. All right, well, my last pan is in there. It's got 8 minutes left, and I have got a whole bunch of perfect little ginger snaps. Oh yeah, let me get one of these that's cooled here. Just the way they're supposed to be. Oh, not just delicious. Folks, enjoy your ginger snaps. Thank you for joining me for cooking with this these holiday treats, doing the holiday with me. I do appreciate that. If you would, please take a look at my website. That's where my recipes are. I will have these recipes up pretty soon, so don't sweat that. And thank you very much for watching, folks. Have a good day and enjoy those ginger snaps.